So this video is going to be mostly about how to get a stuck bearing carrier hub out of your lower unit. In this particular case, we went through a lot of trouble, broke a lot of tools. It really started with just getting the ring off. That ring was frozen in place, and as you can see in this clip, what I ended up doing was drilling into it, and more than the 2 holes that they say is necessary, obviously, and then breaking it out. We put it on here. I tried a cheater bar. I tried Freol. I tried a torch. I tried a small hammer. And I even tried a big hammer. And I'm ashamed to say, I put a 6-foot piece of PVC on this and it still wouldn't come off. Now, Mercury, in their finite wisdom, knowing that this is going to seal, actually gives you drill points. And the idea is you can drill these points out and collapse it. Well, it's been a couple of days, and I did manage to get my hands on one of these tools to take the retaining ring off. Unfortunately, that retaining ring was stuck in there to a degree that you would find almost impossible to believe. So I was not able to use this to take it off. I did, however, use a technique to drill holes in it. Let's see if I can show you. Here's one hole. Where we could then pry this away and break it off into pieces. So I was able to get the retaining ring off. So we got the ring off in pieces, if you will. But the next attempt is going to be failure number 1, using a bearing carrier puller to try to get it off. You'll see in this clip what ends up happening. Listen for the ting, little click, as the rings start breaking off. So we concluded we should cut some notches in that bearing carrier puller, and we did. We ground them down and carefully filed them flat, and went ahead for attempt number 2. And what ended up happening, it looked like it was actually moving. One thing to take note of is I put the bearing carrier puller both in the same direction, from the up down. They seem to get a better grip on that. So we gave it a shot. This is what happens. Take a look and see on this failure. I've been using Freol. That didn't seem to help much, which is interesting. As a last resort, what I've also been doing is taking acetone and transmission fluid, which everybody seems to think is the end all to catch all, so we're going to give it a shot. But I've been spraying it into there regularly. This is about a week's worth of effort to get it to this point where the hub's all broken up. So now, one thing breaking away those rings did help with is there's less contact with the side. I'm also going to spray the inside, and we're going to do something a little different. Both these notches that I cut into this are both facing the same direction. It's not the way this tool is intended to be used, but I did see a little glimmer of hope the last time I tried to do this. So what I'm doing is I'm resting those notches directly over those 2 wings, if you will, They seem to be the sturdiest points. The jaw broke. The tool broke. The end broke. Alright, so now we had a broken bearing carrier puller, and I got the bright idea from some of the forums that I visited to let's do this with chain, which kind of seemed like it would work, but just couldn't get it to really get a good grip on that and pull it out right. It's doing it with chain is a lot tougher than you would think it is, but here's a shot of that episode. Alright, so we're on to attempt number, I don't know, 53. About a week and a half worth of work on trying to get this hub out, but I'm going to resort to chains since we broke the bearing hub remover. Alright, so the chain method failed, even though it was kind of kludgy, wrapping it around the bearing puller like that, but yeah, it was worth a shot. I had chain laying around and little clamps for them, so gave it a shot. Finally. So this is what we were stuck with, and I'll be honest with you, I've already gotten this thing out once. I actually put it back in there, just so I can show you exactly what we were dealing with. You can see this bearing hub carrier is just chewed to pieces. The first thing that happened was when we used a standard puller, they snapped the rings off. So eventually I ended up taking the puller and I ground some bevels into it, if you can see that. And that way they would hook behind that. And I ended up breaking off the teeth off one of the pullers. So the next thing I did after that, I actually got rid of all of the rest of the rings. I cut this top piece off on the theory that the less that is holding on to the sides of this thing, the easier it is to pull it out. But whether that's true or not, we don't know. Now, before you go any further with doing what I need to do, pull the shift rod out. There's a little pain in the butt because this bushing requires a special tool, but I was able to get it out with a screwdriver. Because if you don't, you're going to damage the lower unit. You're going to damage you'll bend the rod. So, as a last resort, and I do consider this a last resort, I found a post on Scream and Fly where a gentleman by the name of Captain Insano suggested doing this, and I'm still a little surprised. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing this, but basically it entails taking two flat iron bar stock, if you will. I'm using the broken puller and the one side that's good, placing the prop on it, and let's get a prop nut, and I've got washers that just happen to be the right size. Top one's easy. I say that. Alright, so we'll start without the washer. Again, I'm not recommending this to anybody. I'm just showing you the way I was able to get this thing out. Now you really need 5 hands to do this, but we'll get by without it. We want to make sure the steel bars don't actually contact the hub carrier as it comes out. And cranking down on it. Let's get this lined up. And what'll happen is, you can't see it from here, but it will draw the bearing carrier out. Once you get resistance, you probably want to stop, reposition everything. Let's take a look at where it's at now. So it's actually come out, it's over the threads, so it has come out a little bit. Having this piece cut off here makes a huge difference because you can position the bar so it doesn't touch this. Right now we got a lot of leeway, including this cracked piece of housing, which I'm not terribly concerned with at the moment. And that is what's going to help pull the hub bearing out. I'm going to go straight up and down with these right now. I think we calculated we needed 5 hands altogether. That's where you need another hand to come in. Well, as it turns out, it's already broken loose. But that's just to give you the general idea of how I got this thing off. And as a matter of fact, once it gets to this point where the bearing hub is out that far, it's not going to travel much further with the iron bars in the way. You can see that it's really come out almost all the way, and that's because I had already taken it out once, which is here. Be careful not to lose that because you're going to need it when you reassemble it. Here's the unit. There's the reverse gear. I'm going to pull the prop shaft out, and we'll start reassembling it with the well, we'll disassemble it, then we'll start reassembling it with the new housing that I ordered, and it should be here shortly. Well, there you go. To me, it was the solution of last resort after breaking off the tooth on the hub puller, which that really sucked. It's $100 gone. But the trick worked. I mean, using the propeller and the nut, and in this case you didn't see it, but when I was originally pulling it, I had washers to add to spacers so that the nut wouldn't drive into the propeller shaft. It worked. So we've got the prop shaft, we've got the shift pull, which is important. We won't want to lose that. And I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this guy. Luckily the new one comes with seals and the needle bearings already, so that'll be easy to reassemble. I just need to get on a press and pull the reverse gear out. If the bearings underneath of it come out, great. If they don't, I'll have to pull them out too, probably with a slide hammer. It's no fun. And then press everything back together, and hopefully that'll be it. Now, what started this originally was when I was doing the maintenance on it, I noticed a big old oil smear on the bottom of this, and right away assumed that the two seals above the needle bearings had failed and were leaking oil, which is probably true. What I didn't know is that it would turn into this massive adventure, or misadventure I should call it, that's taken me a week and a half to resolve, and plus busted tools, and I even set up a workshop under the portable, or under the canopy that I have outside. Finally pulled it off the motor, the lower unit, which you actually have to do that. The reason is that as you're pulling the prop shaft out, it's going to pull this gear back, it's going to pull the prop shaft back, and the pull that's in here is going to be engaged with the shifter rod. If that's the case, you're going to end up bending the shifter rod and probably doing some other damage you don't want to do. So if you decide to take this route, and I'm not advising it, make sure you drop the lower unit and remove the shift rod. Anyway, I hope this video has been useful to you. If it has, hit share and like, and thanks for watching.